What up, folks? Once again, it's your boy Tim. How can you make money driving for Uber or Lyft in 2022? This is an actual follow-up video to a previous video I posted, well over 100,000 views, giving you tips and strategies on how to maximize your earnings in ride sharing. Like I stated, well over 100,000 views, a hell of a lot of commentary on that video. I encourage you to watch it. It's linked in the description. There was a little bit of pushback from individuals suggesting that in their market, the outcome for some of the tips and strategies provided might be different. Hence, we're having a follow-up video. I've been driving off and on the road since 2014. I feel confident that I have enough experience in the game to provide some advice. So here we go. I've done the homework. So I'm going to present you with a current list of the per mile rates that drivers are making in most major markets. So this will respond to those suggesting, well, in my market, I make this, and you're not making that in your market. Here's most of the biggest markets. On screen now, as you can see, Los Angeles, 87 cents per mile, coming out to an average of about $17.07 a mile. And that's one of the higher paying cities. Dallas, 70 cents a mile to drivers, averaging out at about $15.64 an hour. Miami is only paying a paltry 69 cents per mile to drivers, averaging out at $12.69 per hour. And at Atlanta, Georgia, by the way, big market, Atlanta, Georgia, a ridiculous sum of 66 cents per mile to the driver at an average of $13.79 per hour. Point is, driving for those rates is unprofitable. So how do you maximize your earnings in those cities? First of all, do not drive for those bare bone rates. You're going to need promos, bonuses, and surge pricing. If that is not being offered at the time you are driving in an unprofitable environment. Obviously, if you can drive for someone that's going to give you a big tip, that's a different scenario, but that's generally not very common in this industry to drive and somebody throw you a huge tip. Most of the tips are $5 or less. So if you're making 66 cents per mile in Atlanta and you're getting, even if somebody gives you $2 or $3, it's probably not that much of a profitable trip to engage in. And that's assuming you get the tip to begin with. So the first thing I am pointing out, like I said, do not drive if they're not offering you some type of promotional streak bonus. We all love the streak bonus. You drive 3 trips and they give you an additional $15, $20. That means now you're getting, if you drive 3 trips and they give you an additional $15, that means they're adding $5 onto those trips. Now we're talking something. But if you're driving for 66 cents a mile and they're not giving you anything, you're losing money, folks, because that's 66 cents per utilized mile, to quote the Uber CEO. Utilized means the time that person is in your car. You're making 66 cents a mile, which isn't shit to begin with. But the miles you spent driving to pick that person up, or the miles you drive after dropping them off to get back to a decent location to get more trips, all that's on you. So that 66 cents a mile you made off of that passenger, it's not shit, folks. So do not drive for base fare. I'm saying this more repetitively because I don't want folks in the comments talking about how they're making a killing off of 69 cents a mile or some bullshit. And that's also a reason why a lot of folks get into this business, is because a lot of folks lie. A lot of drivers lie and paint a picture that they're dealing with a windfall in terms of earnings. And that's just not true. I'm giving you the numbers here. I just gave you the numbers. 87 cents a mile in Los Angeles. Do you realize how much fuel costs in Los Angeles? 87 cents a mile. So anyone who tells you they're making $2,000 or $3,000 a week at 87 cents a mile is not being honest with you. Now, at the same time, if they're driving with big bonuses being offered, or as I stated before, surge pricing, now we're talking something. And surge pricing is what generally takes place when there are a lot of passengers and not a lot of drivers. Some markets don't have that at all. So understand that as well when you're bragging about how much money you're making in your market. A lot of markets do not have big surges going on. You know, if you're in LA or Vegas somewhere, yeah, there's surges all the time. If you're out in Madison, Wisconsin or Montgomery, Alabama somewhere, they're not giving big surges. It's just not happening like that. Occasionally there may be some here or there, but you're not getting $5 and $10 surges like they have in Chicago out in the middle of South Carolina somewhere. Columbia, South Carolina doesn't have the surges that Chicago has. So get that through your head for those who live in some of America's biggest cities. But even then, if you don't have those surges, once again, do not be on the road. I'm trying to express that to you. Second thing is, don't take people to dumb locations. What is a dumb location? A location where you know you are unlikely to get a trip back within a certain distance. I'm not talking about where you drop somebody off and you got to drive 3 or 4 blocks to pick up the next person. I'm talking about where you got to drive miles, where you drop somebody off in a suburb or a neighboring town and you know there is likely to be a drive back because no one in that town is going to want to ride back to your local area. Remember that. You always got to get home. You don't want to drive home empty because driving home empty is a drive at your expense. So don't take people to dumb locations, meaning outside of your area. Avoid doing that. So that's another thing I would strongly suggest, including also don't do dumb favors. What is a dumb favor? Taking someone to Walmart and sitting in your car with the heat running, the air conditioning going, or just idling the vehicle when you're getting paid between 9 and 15 cents a minute waiting for them and they're shopping for a half hour. What is 30 times 9? That's $2.70. So if you wait for someone in Walmart for a half hour, 30 minutes, and you're making 9 cents a minute, in which they do pay that in some markets, only 9 cents a minute, you make $2.70 for that half hour you've been waiting for them to complete their grocery shopping or whatever in Walmart. $2.70. That probably will not even meet the amount of gas you burned idling the car with the heat on in the winter or the air conditioner on in the summertime. So don't do dumb things for people. This is a customer service business. People will push you as far as you're willing to go to get as much out of you as possible. Understand that. Up to and including trying to get rides for free. People even pull stunts to try to get rides for free by deliberately getting in cars with a different name on it and things like that. But how do you avoid taking people to dumb areas? When Uber and Lyft are notoriously known for hiding the destination of where people are going. I talked about this in the last video. Let me make it clearer for folks who had trouble understanding. When you get within 100 feet or so of your location, maybe 3-4 houses away or 2 or 3 businesses away, stop the vehicle and swipe on the app that you have arrived at that location. You're still somewhat out of range in which the passenger cannot see you, and you can then know where they're going. The minute you swipe arrived, the app will tell you where that person is going. It is up to you at that point to decide if this is a location you want to take someone to. If it's to a dumb area, in which I just stated, where you know you're not going to get any type of trip coming back, 30, 40 miles outside of your area, where you're going to have to drive back empty for 30, 40 miles, at that point you can cancel the trip. The passenger will be notified that the driver canceled the trip. Now, obviously you've driven 2, 3, 4 miles to go get this person, and you want that trip. But you don't want to drive 3 or 4 miles to get somebody and have to deadhead back 30 miles after dropping them off because no one's in your vehicle when you could just waste that 4 miles you drove there and pick up somebody that's going locally. So avoid taking people to dumbass locations. That's what I'm talking about. And that is the strategy to find out where they're going. Stop a few feet away, maybe 100 feet away or so, or a few houses down the road, swipe on the app that you've arrived and look at your app. It'll tell you where they are going and make your decision at that time. They're not in your car, and in a lot of cases, they're not even within eyesight of you. But certainly the last thing you want is to have people in your vehicle and have to ask them to get out. Yours truly, I have done that a few times. It does not always go well because sometimes when they're going to bad locations, they have been waiting for quite a while because people don't want to take them there. You get them in your car and sometimes they don't want to get out. So avoid even getting in that predicament by checking the app, using the instructions I gave you before they ever get in the car. Last but not least, do not chase surges. I told you the value of working for surges. Certainly beneficial if you can get someone in your vehicle and there's a 5-10 time surge. as opposed to driving for base fare that's unprofitable altogether. However, surges are only applicable when you pick the person up. I don't advise ever driving to a neighborhood hoping to get a surge when you get there for two reasons. First of all, you don't know when you get to that area if Uber or Lyft is even going to give you that surge. You may be sitting in an area with a 5-time surge, and they give you a trip to an area with a 1-time surge. You have zero control over that. So driving to these areas can actually cost you money. If you're going to drive a block or two, maybe, but anything outside of that, I really strongly advise against. It's unprofitable, and the way their algorithms work, it's based on how many people are looking at the app versus how many drivers are in that area. If it's 10 of you, if you're in an area where there's 2 or 3 drivers and 20 people look at the app, the surge is going to come on because now you have 20 potential passengers for only 2 drivers. But that doesn't mean that 20 people looking at the app are going to request a ride. They may see how much the surge is and simply close the app and decide to wait. So when you're migrating to that area, those 20 people may be just simply waiting until more drivers get there. Look, I'm not paying 10-time surge. I'm going to wait for an hour. So all you guys that came to the area chasing that 10-time surge, and now it's more of you in the area, and the price is dropping for all of y'all, and none of y'all even got a trip. You just all wasted fuel. This is what I tried to portray in the previous video, and people were pushing back on this. Do not chase surges or bonuses. I believe Lyft goes by bonuses. Do not chase this stuff. If you're in the area 1 or 2 blocks away, fine, but do not drive across town chasing something that may disappear as you arrive. Anyone that has done this has had that happen to them. Do not chase this stuff. And I'm telling you this from experience. When it first started happening with us, we were doing that and watching bonuses and surges disappear the moment we got to the area. So be thankful you got someone like myself that has done it before that can tell you not to do it. Last but not least, another issue is do not trust these companies. Ridesharing, both basically Uber or Lyft, do not trust that they're operating in your best interest. Generally, the ideal is that we are both you the subcontractor and Uber or Lyft the contractor are both working together to earn the fare of the driver. Uber or Lyft's job is to give you the tip of a passenger needing a ride, and your job is to take them from point A to point B. So you're essentially on the same team, and generally you want to trust your teammates. That's not how it works in this situation. You're working for you are a subcontractor with Uber or Lyft, and they are a teammate that does not have your best interest at heart. They are trying to get as much of that fare from that passenger as they can. Their goal is to give you as little of that fare as they can. So understand that just because you're subcontracting with these companies, that doesn't mean you guys are on the same team and they have your best interest at heart. They have no problem sending you miles away to get a trip that's only going for a couple minutes and you making $2 for that trip, wasting all of that money you drove to get there. And if you refuse that trip, threatening to punish you for not taking it. A partner that had your best interest at heart, a contractor that had the best interest at heart of a subcontractor would not do that. Let's assume you have a job of lawn care, and there's a company out there like Uber or Lyft that sends you homes that need their grass cut. If that company cared about you, they would not send you a home that needs lawn care that's going to pay you $50, but it's 90 miles away from you. They would know that that is unprofitable for you as a lawn care specialist, and they wouldn't send you there. Uber and Lyft doesn't do that. They will gladly send you to trips that are not profitable and threaten to punish you if you don't take them. So understand that also. Be very mindful of the trips you accept from Uber or Lyft. If you try to meet their standard of having a 90% or more acceptance rate, you're going to lose money. It is up to you as a driver to maintain knowledge of where you're going, who you're picking up, and what type of money is being offered. Because the company just wants that person to get from point A to point B. They don't care if you make money in that ordeal or not. They're going to make money. If you drive 15 miles to pick up somebody only going 1 mile, Uber or Lyft is going to make their cut off of that 1 mile. So they're going to make money no matter what. You, on the other hand, is going to lose. You're going to have a negative income driving 15 miles to pick up somebody who's only going 1. So figure out what is the average mileage of a trip in your area. If the average driver rides 3 miles in your car, don't drive more than 3 miles to pick people up. You don't want to drive 8 miles to pick up somebody that's going 3 miles. And you make $4 off of that. You're losing money doing that. And Uber and Lyft will keep demanding you take those trips all day long. So do not trust them that they're in your best interest. And they've done other things. They've lost lawsuits for stealing tips. They don't even oftentimes meet the claims for the insurance folks buys from them and everything like that. And they've lost lawsuits and settlements for inflating driver salaries and lying about how much people make and all kinds of other stuff like that. So understand that you're in this business to make money for yourself, and no one, including the companies that you are subcontracting for, are concerned with whether you profit or not. Now, let me know in the comments, where am I getting any of this wrong? Because I got drivers out here claiming they're making $2,000 and $3,000 a week with no bonuses or surges. There's no way in hell I'm going to believe you're making $2,500, $3,000 a week driving at 60 or 70 cents a mile. Even if you're driving 80 hours a week, I don't believe that. But let me know in the comments if you're making this kind of money without bonuses, huge tips, surges, or streaks. I don't believe it, but let me know in the comments. And folks, understand that. That is why there is no shortage of new folks willing to fall into the pitfalls of ride sharing. It's because there's folks out there that keep having them thinking that if they do this, they're going to make a ridiculous sum of money. They get into it and they're gone within 6 months when they find out that's not true. But it leaves Uber and Lyft an endless string of new drivers. What do you think? And by the way, subscribe to the channel. We do videos like this all the time. It's your boy Tim. I'll catch you in the next video.